Okay, so that's what's coming. And you think it's the video. I'm gonna give you a heads up. Those videos are artificial intelligence. Those are not videos of real people. What I say is that's what's coming is that this is where this thing is going. It's the aggravation, it's people being mad, it's people turning on each other, it's the balkanization of the United States where this particular faction is against this faction, yada, yada, yada. That's only going to continue to increase. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I've been doing this particular channel for, let's say, going on 5 years. When I started this channel, the economy was flush full of money because of the pandemic. The economy was flush full of money. And I came out here and I told you that you're engaged in economic warfare. But because the economy was flush of money, most people didn't believe what I was saying. Because everybody had money. I started during the pandemic where everybody had a pocket full of money. And what we've seen is that money has started to leave the economy. We've seen as we've gone into different political regimes, we're starting to see that things are not as well off and things are not as good as people thought they were. And now people are starting to have to be faced with reality. And again, it's not about this one section or this one section. This is going to be very broad across America because I've told people from the gate, the goal is to make sure that there's surplus labor. The goal is to reshape America. The goal is to make America look more like other parts of the world. And if you don't believe you're in economic warfare and you just got your head in the clouds, if you can't understand what's going on, if you don't care, this society and these changes are going to just roll over you. Getting mad at people on YouTube, having people on YouTube yell at you through a camera. We're seeing a lot of these police camera videos where that's now going to be the thing to watch other people in other unfortunate situations. This is all going to be part of manufacturing consent to do what they need to do against certain segments of the population. I'm going to talk about that as we close this video off. And I want you to understand there's literally over 1,000 videos on this YouTube channel, many of them about trading. And there's also a lot of videos about economic warfare, how that incorporates into trading, what is actually going on in the society, and what I believe people should start to do as a solution to the particular problem. And we're now going to start to see people now starting to take that serious. Because what this particular world we're in now is they're pulling all the supports out and they're going to keep doing it. Do I believe Snap is going to come back? Yes. But I also believe it's going to be under threat. Do I believe that Section 8 is going to it's going to be allowed to continue? Yes, but it's going to be very geo-specific. And so a lot of people are going to have to adapt to this new world, and they're going to look more like, or their life's going to look more like how the rest of the world look. There's an issue in Brazil where the police went up into a favela in Brazil, and they just killed a whole bunch of people. And people is upset. It's not going to change nothing. Because if you are in a certain class status in Brazil, you don't even have a government identification. It's as if you don't even really exist. So if you stop existing, it don't matter because you never existed in the first place. That's how they run their society. This is where America's going. And people have been telling you this. I'm not the first, and I'm not going to be the last. I'm just the person that took this particular message. And I had this message during the whole time everybody was telling you everything else. And now we're starting to see people that change their message because they're realizing my audience is going to be so negatively impacted by this stuff that I can't distract them from it unless I just go totally left field. Let me give an example of what I mean. Some of y'all not going to remember this, but some of y'all will. When NWA split up, we saw Cube go in one direction and try to get a little bit more conscious because of some of his influences. And we saw the rest of NWA just really devolve into more degeneracy. Because the only way they could keep their audience is to become more degenerate. Because they couldn't raise their level. They didn't have it in them to do it. So the way they kept their audience was becoming more degenerate and becoming more upstream and becoming more obscene. And that's how they kept their audience. What Cube said, let me try to evolve and change and kind of put a little different angle on some of the things that I've been doing historically. And so some people in these spaces, in these content creator spaces, a lot of these entertainers, they're going to keep their audience by going even further to the extremes. Because they have to keep their audience distracted from what the real world is. And you're seeing a lot of this where, these artificial intelligence videos and people are taking it and resharing it. And they don't realize it's not even a real video, but it fits the narrative and the commentary that they want to have about what is going on inside the world. That's going to continue to increase because now you can just make a video on the computer. You don't need to make content anymore. You don't need to take somebody else's content. You don't need to react to content. You just can make content with a computer now. You're going to see more police camera videos of people in unfortunate situations. So it's kind of like the Jerry Springer effect, to where I can look down on these people because I feel like I'm doing better than them. But the person watching this, life has not changed. There's a black content creator. There's several black content creators. And all they do is just react to like crime videos. And they got really big audiences. Their audiences are not financially well off. They're not. But they're willing to show up to watch somebody else in the worst situation so they feel better about their life. But many of them are going to be impacted by the fact that Snap is on the slowdown. So that's what I want you to understand. I was given a message. I gave the message for an extended period of time. Some people believed it. Some people didn't believe it. Some people believe, hey, I don't have to worry about it right now. I'm good. We've seen money bleed out of this economy over the past 4 to 5 years. And we're going to continue to see things get more and more extreme. So this is why I told you we're engaged in economic warfare, and you need to make your economic situation serious, and you need to make that serious amongst the people that you deal with. Because nobody is going to stop where this train is going. I want you to understand this. God showed me this in 07, 08. If you bring Bell on here, and me and him, Bell did a video about West Indian Carnival, Bell will tell you I've been saying the same thing since 07, 08 when I moved to Tampa. The Lord showed me this over a decade ago. There's nothing that's going to stop it. No political party, no president, nothing's going to stop it. This is going in a certain direction. And because America was very much in a bubble for decades, they don't know what the rest of the world looks like in real life. They know as a tourist, but they don't know people's day-to-day life. And America is going to look like the rest of the world. That's where this is going. And nobody's going to be able to stop it. So the only thing you can do is for you and your people figure out how to build some type of economic support and some economic development amongst your group, and then you can partner with other groups. But if you think we're going to vote this one person in DC, or, we going to do this black girl magic, or we going to do this black male escapism, and that's going to be a solution to the problem, it's only going to get worse for you. That's it. The longer you ignore it and try to move around it, it's just going to continue to get worse because it's not going to get better. They're moving this thing in a certain direction. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And then we're going to get up on out of here. We're not going to be here too long. I'm just going to show you examples because, again, many people, the way they do YouTube channels is they think the latest video is the video. That's a downfall in the way in which you absorb information. You don't understand archives. I can tell many of you have never gone to libraries. You don't understand libraries. And so there is a lineage of content here pretty much talking about the same thing and not yelling and screaming, right? Not doing fantastical things, not doomsday content, but getting you to understand that you are involved in economic warfare. You was born in it and you're going to pass away. It's still going to be going on. And so worrying about anything except it's just a waste of time. Me worrying about Trump and his son is worth $80 million. That's not a good use of my productive energy. So the Democratic Party just trying to trump me to death, that's not a good use of my time because his son is already up 80 million. And the average person not up 8,000. So they good over there. So they can just spin their wheels for the next 3 years. It don't matter to them, but that's not what they're going to do. They're going to get some more money. But that's what I want you to understand. Many of the things that you've been taught to invest in as a way to placate yourself and as a way to just get through life, they're showing up now to be a massive waste of time. But many people still not going to get it. They're literally going to have to fall like a drug addict. They're going to have to fall to the bottom of life. And they're going to have to fall to the bottom of society. And then they're going to want some help. And they're making it to where help is going to be harder to get. That's just how this is going. Getting mad over is not going to change it. Because let me explain something to you that they're not going to tell you. If Kamala Harris would have got elected, this would be going the same direction. This is just where this thing is going. And don't try to put a little catchphrase, a little cute name on it. Every system has a way in which it moves down the track. That's just how systems work. unless you come in and try to do things to change it, which nobody's going to be able to do, because the people that control this society have decided this is where it's going. And it's not about reading no one book. It's not about, trying to match what's going on to what's in the Bible. This is a secular economic system that has a beginning and has an end. That's just what goes on. And so this is what I want you to understand. So we're going to get into this. It's going to hit some people to what's going on. Some people going to take it. They're going to move with it. Other people, they're going to get lost in the sauce. They're going to figure, hey, man, it's almost the end of the year. I'm not tripping on that to the top of the year. God bless you. I hope everything work out for you. Right? Because I did my job. I gave you the message. We're going to keep pushing. So let's keep going. So that's the video. We're going to go back to that video a little bit later. So let's talk about food banks and SNAP. Let me get rid of that. Let me bring this up real quick.
Joining us now from the Atlanta Community Food Bank. Marissa, how are the food banks doing right now? We know the demand has been high.
Yeah, Cheryl, Faith, many of the food banks tell us they're really starting to feel the stress from the government shutdown. The Atlanta Community Food Bank says they serve 820,000 Georgians across 29 countries across the entire state, and they tell us the need for food is going up. The donations and funding, however, are not.
We're certainly seeing an uptick in need right now. That's because we got new people who need assistance, and we got people who are worried about the future.
John West at the Atlanta Community Food Bank says some of the 80,000 federal workers in Georgia are now relying on local food banks for help while they're not getting paid, in addition to the 1.4 million Georgians who receive SNAP benefits and another 200,000 who receive WIC benefits.
We're all seeing historically high demand already before the shutdown. The results of inflation, cost of living, in particular grocery costs are up.
Georgia's Department of Human Services stated November SNAP benefits won't be issued until the shutdown ends. In the interim, the burden will likely fall on food banks to help feed, and they say they alone can't support that great of a need.
If we knew that 10 days from now, the money I need to buy groceries isn't going to be there, I'm going to start taking action now. So we're worried about that. There's a huge potential for an increase in demand on that. And again, that's a jump in demand at a scale that food banks alone can't solve for. That's a federal government level issue.
With the 2,100 USDA offices opening on Thursday, West says it'll be a huge help to farmers and to keeping food on the tables of most Americans, but not all of them. While Atlanta Community Food Bank receives funding from the Department of Agriculture, eventually that funding could run out if the shutdown continues.
Fortunately, most of those are still functioning right now. Things are already in the pipeline that are still flowing to us. But if the shutdown carries on long enough, we'll begin to see interruptions even in those vital programs.
Georgia.
And so Atlanta Food Bank, and I've volunteered there before, they're like a top line organization, and they feed into a lot of other organizations. So they're like a very large organization that has a lot of tentacles, and those tentacles go into other food banks all across the state of Georgia. And what he's getting people to understand is that there's an increase in demand on what we're doing because of what people are going through. Now, nobody's talking about this because again, the goal is to just ignore it and act like it's not going on. And then the state of Georgia says they're not going to do SNAP benefits until the government shutdown is over. Some states are addressing the need on the state level. The state of Georgia say, hey, you got to figure it out. Georgia already has a large amount of food insecurity before any of this happened. That's why organizations like the Atlanta Food Bank were so important. And so that's what I want you to understand is that this situation already was at a certain level. Now, because of things going on in the economy, people believing that the SNAP benefits are not going to be come through top of this particular month, which is going to be the end of this particular week. Then going into the month of November, some people saying, well, even if they restart it next week, it's going to take time for that money to filter through. So most people won't get their benefits till mid-month. They got to figure something out. Here's what I want you to believe. I believe SNAP's going to come back. But I do believe you're going to see more disturbances in these type of programs because the goal is to make people understand that the era of the government offering me a certain level of support is going to be over. There may be, if you're lucky, they may push it to the state. And then depending on what state you live in, it's going to get addressed at that particular level. But I think this era of the federal government is going to address these issues and they're going to try to figure out how to solve the problem. I think that era is going to be over. And I would encourage people to start thinking of a world in which they live in which the federal government is not going to address these issues anymore for people. Because if you go to other parts of the world, the federal government doesn't address those issues for people. You got to just figure it out. That's why I was telling people, you like in America, our perception is to get full. Like in America, we think eat till you get full. Other parts of the world, they lucky to get that one meal a day. So they learn how to survive on one meal a day. They don't necessarily eat breakfast. They may eat like a mid-afternoon meal, may drink tea, get a little something at night, some snacks, some cakes, something at night, and that's their day. It's not eating 3 meals, 4 meals a day. Bodybuilders talk about eating 6 meals a day. That's an American thing. So we are going to have, a lot of people are going to have to adjust their lifestyle. Now, let me show you something that's getting ready to pop up. It's going to get real big, is how to eat on a low dollar amount, because that's something most Americans don't know how to do because we always had it like that. So you're always able to hit up the little fast food restaurants, yada, 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 how you wanted to. Again, we going through a 5-year run where people had a pocket full of money. It was almost like the dope game came back. But the days is over with. That money is gone out of the economy. It's gone. And now they figured out new ways and new markets to bring in no money, but the average person don't have access to those markets. One, they don't know about it. They don't have the skills to access those markets. So they just not available to get access to it. So all this money is being made in certain markets, and the average person don't have access to it because it's not money coming directly from government. Them days about to be over with. Let me show you how a lot of people go address these food issues. Let's go here.
To make 4 full family dinners using only Dollar Tree ingredients. This is round 2 of my extreme budget meal series, made to help you feed yourself and your family when money's tight. Let me show you what we're picking up this time. First, a box of pasta. Any kind works. I grabbed penne, then a carton of milk, smoked sausage, frozen diced peppers and onions, Parmesan cheese, and Cajun seasoning. We'll use all of that to make a creamy Cajun Alfredo pasta that is super satisfying. Since we're already working with those Cajun flavors, I grabbed a bag of dry red kidney beans and some rice to make red beans and rice. It's simple, hearty, and filling. Next, for a fun and easy meal, I picked up some canned chicken tamales, a can of corn, a can of black beans, and a can of diced tomatoes with green chilies. We'll turn that into a Tex-Mex tamale chili that goes great over rice. And finally, stick with me here, I've got a bag of steak cut french fries, a pack of breakfast sausage links, brown lentils, and a bag of flour to make homemade tortillas. We will use all of that, plus a few things we already grabbed to make some egg and dairy-free breakfast burritos, which are surprisingly good. Here's the full haul, and everything came out to $19.25 with 75 cents to spare.
Okay, so big up to this young lady. We not downing her. One thing about her is if you go to her channel, she'll cook. So her husband he already halfway ahead of the game because she'll cook and she'll cook. Okay, so she will cook. She want to cook. She'll cook. So we not downing this young woman. But if you look at that food basket, let me ask you a question. Where you see vegetables at? You see any vegetables in there? So I'm somebody that I know because I shop for myself because I'm single. My biggest expense with food is fresh vegetables, fresh fruit. That's what costs me all my money. So I'll go buy some vegetables and literally pay $100. I went and bought some argula. I went and bought some argula today. Cost me $10 for 2 little bowls of argula. Right? Might last me 2-3 days. Right? Cost $10 just for that. So what I want you to understand is you're not seeing a heavy green side to what they're eating. Now, some people eat like this. This is why Americans have issues with pre-diabetes, diabetes, weight, stuff like this, because Americans eat like this. What I'm seeing is a bunch of starches. And if you go to her page and go to her channel, again, we're not disrespecting her, but what she cooks is heavy starch. Why? It's inexpensive. It lasts a long time. And it's very filling. So she cooked one meal. It was biscuits, white bread biscuits. It was mac and cheese. It was another casserole made with another pasta. Then she also cooked like a apple pie, more white flour. Everything is white starch, white flour. And so that's what I want you to understand is that the cost of food isn't going to go down over time. It's not. No matter who you go to. The cost of food is only going to go up. So you got to ask yourself, as we're going more into inflation, as the cost of food is going up, how are certain food manufacturers able to keep their food costs flat, where the cost of you buying their food in the store don't go up? That's what you got to ask yourself. It's cost everything going up. But this is how a lot of people eat. Now go to your doctor and ask them, is it healthy to eat like this day in and day? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it because you're going through something in life. One time I had a financial issue. I went and bought beans and rice. And I said, I know I'm going to eat. Why? Because I got beans and rice. But I wasn't going to eat like that the rest of my life. Right? So I'm not saying that you shouldn't do what you need to do. You know, if you're going through something, you're going through something. But this is what people are going to be told, how you're going to make it through this particular situation. But if you eat like this day in and day out, there are no green vegetables there. And if you think there are, I can tell you don't eat a lot of green vegetables, because I'm talking about kale, spinach, arugula, zucchini, squash, even though squash is not green, avocado, right? There's no there's no leafy green vegetables there. No celery, no carrots. She got corn, which is a starch. That seasoned blend is primarily just more starches. And that's just one bag of seasoned blend for all those meals she made. That only went in one meal. It didn't go with every meal. So that's what I want you to understand. People are going to start to change the way they eat because that's what they can afford if they eat in that Dollar General or Dollar Tree. And we not downing nobody. If that's what they got to do, that's what they got to do. Like I said, I went through a financial situation. I had to go buy me a bunch of beans and rice to make it. And I made it. Right? But I don't eat like that on a regular basis because it's not good for you. It'll fill you up, but it's not good for you. So that's what I want you to understand. So these people that a lot of us have been entertaining, at least this young lady's trying to come with a solution to the problem and try to figure out how to help people get through the situation. They're going to either ignore what's going on in the real world, or they're going to devolve into just more extreme content and more escapism content so their audience don't have to face the real world. Okay, let's go into the next one. So what we're getting ready to talk about now is this Section 8 rent freeze. Let's go ahead and get into it. So let me get rid of this and get into this Section 8 rent freeze.
Well, if you live in Atlanta and you use Section 8 housing vouchers, or you know someone who does, listen to the story. Potential federal cuts could impact you. Atlanta Housing receives 95% of its funding from the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. And as Joe Ripley reports, the Housing Authority is now freezing rent hikes for those who need housing help the most.
With prices going up in Atlanta, Kamaya Fuller says she has to work overtime just to make rent.
It's no affordability in Atlanta, especially with the housing. You're not going to find anything under $1,300, and that's just starting at a one-bedroom.
She's visiting Atlanta Housing to try and get some rental assistance, but that soon could become harder to come by. With federal cuts potentially looming, Atlanta's Housing Authority decided to freeze rental rate hikes for any contract renewals after July 1st.
But that money getting clawed back is going to cause them to have to make the hard choice of whether or not people receive housing. It's not a position they should be put into.
Atlanta City Council member Liliana Bakhtiari says nonprofits and local governments must step up if federal policies shift and funding dries up.
We're talking about forcing people to lose everything, putting them on the street, creating their poverty in their situation, and then punishing them for it.
Matthew Nursey, an organizer with the Housing Justice League, disagrees with freezing rent rates because it could decrease the amount of properties that accept vouchers.
We're really advocating for is for the city and the state to scale up the amount of housing, and then to regulate corporate landlords, and then deregulate the red tape when it comes to affordable housing development.
Kamaya Fuller sees housing like air, necessary to survive and non-negotiable.
No one wants to be homeless, of course. I just feel like housing just gives a sense of safety. You can be.
So big up to this young lady. Do the 1,300, multiply that by 3, then multiply that by 12, and tell me what you need to make to get that apartment at $1,300. So this is what's going to happen in Atlanta, right? So we understand where Section 8 is telling landlords, we want to freeze any increases in rent. What's going to happen is landlords going to leave the program, right? They're going to leave the program and they're going to figure out what else they're going to do, because they just not going to want to be in the program anymore. If they have to accept lower rents, it's going to move people towards lower cost of living cities in the South. What's going to happen in Atlanta, and I've talked about this before. Miss Erica has talked about this extensively. She really knows the real estate game at a very, very deep and granular level. That's somebody you should probably reach out to about their real estate game. Is they're going to get people out of this city because they can't afford to live here anymore. That's just going to be the reality of the situation. They're going to get people out of this city because they just can't afford to live inside the city of Atlanta. This is the city of Atlanta. You're not going to be able to afford to live inside the city of Atlanta anymore. You're going to have to live way, way out. And if you want to come into the city, you can just drive in. Because the real estate's too valuable. And they're going to start doing this all over the country. So this is what we have been trying to tell, not just me, but other people have been trying to communicate to you, that they're changing the whole monopoly board. They're changing the landscape. That's just what's going on. When I was real, real young, all the people wanted to get out of the cities and move to the suburbs. That was the thing to do. Now we're seeing everybody want the city. They want to live in the city again. They don't want to live in the suburbs. They want to live in the city. They want to live close to downtown. They want to live close to the arena. They want to close to where the concerts at. That's where they want to live. These are the hot spots now. So that real estate is very, very valuable. It's a small amount of it, and it's very much in demand. So, you know, the brother, let me see his name real quick. Ray Gunn, he know about Reynoldstown inside Atlanta. They've totally gentrified Reynoldstown. Got everybody out of there. This is what's going on. So you're going to get moved to a lot of the lower cost of living cities in the South. That's going to be Macon, Augusta, Columbus, Montgomery, Huntsville, Chattanooga. And Chattanooga, like, it's getting ready to blow up. So you probably ain't going to be able to live there. So we go to Macon, Augusta, Columbus, Montgomery, Huntsville. Right? That's where people are going to end up going to. Because why? That's what they can afford. They can't afford to live anywhere else. And because and I'm saying this, we have allowed people to program us incorrectly about how life should work. We're not able to withstand the economic warfare. Well, what's the biggest issue? One person by themselves can't do it anymore. But people was told for years that relationships and partnerships, all of this was a sucker's thing. And you're supposed to just do it all on your own, because working with somebody, that's for suckers. And people not being raised to be in partnership with nobody else. I was telling somebody the other day, people act like Scottie Pippen is a clown. Jordan don't win 6 championships with Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen was essential to Jordan's success. But in a society where it's all about the one person and what I can do by myself, and I want all eyes on me, you think the person that was next to the man that helped the man be the man is a sucker. But Jordan ain't going to be the man without Pip. It don't work that way. Because Pip did everything Jordan didn't want to do to make sure that team won. So he deserved the credit the same way Mike get the credit. But you got to really know ball to know that, though. So when we bought into a lot of bad ideas around how life should work, a lot of bad ideas around how relationships should work, and then you're not able to economically sustain those because you do not bring the money in. You just don't have it. You got to just take whatever they're going to give you. So this is why I always say, when these people are creating these narratives around relationships, let me know what the median income is for the city that they're talking about. Because these people are talking about this person got to be this and this person got to be that. And they live in a city where the median income for city is $50,000 a year. Y'all need 2 people to make something happen. You ain't going to be able to do nothing by yourself. You don't have it like that. But you just have to be this sole person. I got to be the sole controller. You really want to be that person because that's what you've been programmed to be. You think it's a prop, and it's not. It's a liability now in this game that we in. Because you see everybody moving with groups. It's factions. It's groups. And that little faction you got, y'all paperweights. Right? My bad. I meant to say this. Y'all paper thin. As soon as y'all hit any little kind of stress, y'all fold like a deck of cards. Everybody fall apart. Everybody go do their own thing. So y'all ain't built to do nothing in this game. Because as soon as your little group get put under stress, everybody fall out with each other. Then y'all start over again with a whole new group. While other groups, they just moving. They handle their business. They doing what they got to do. And they constantly taking up more and more stuff. I dated a woman years ago, over a decade ago. She did commercial real estate in the city of Atlanta. Then she didn't like it. She went to go work for I forgot, the people that take care of the dogs. That's like homeless and stuff. She told me out of her own mouth, I didn't get it then because I didn't understand real estate the way I do now because of the people I've exposed myself to. She said, Atlanta's real life monopoly. That's what's going on out here. She told me that, this might have been 2014. She told me that. She said, Atlanta is real life monopoly. And it was some of the things that she saw in commercial real estate that was she said she didn't want to work in commercial real estate no more because she saw where the game was going. So that's what I want you to understand. This is what's going to happen with this Section 8. Largest Section 8 programs for ATL Metro are in Fulton and DeKalb County currently. These other programs in these other counties, they low-key locked up. You can't even get in. They'll say, yeah, we're going to put you on the waiting list. You're going to die on that waiting list. They ain't going to never open the books up because they don't want you in their city. They don't want you in their county. They don't want you because you can't afford to live here. I live in a city to where if you can't pay a certain amount of money for a house, you will never buy a house here. You won't. You can go look up every program you want to look up. They don't have no programs. They doing economic discrimination. If you cannot afford a certain number for a house, you're not going to buy no house in the city that I live in. They want this city to be small and exclusive. Got a few apartments running through here on one strip. Everything else is homes. They want it to be small and exclusive. They don't want everybody to be able to live over here. That's the game we playing. The county I live in, I live in a bigger county, they got other areas that you can live in if you don't make a certain amount of money. The city that I live in inside this county, if you don't make a certain amount of money, they don't want you living here. They do not. Get your money up. Get your weight up. If you can do it by yourself, you just bad like that. Most of these people that got homes out here, they families. They married couples. It's very few people because of the number that's on the property can do it by themselves. Get your weight up. Figure something out. Right? They not cutting no corners. They're not cutting no deals. They don't have no programs for you to get in. So that's what I want you to understand. So they're going to push Section 8 to Fulton, which we see now, they're going to get their money cut by the Fed. And DeKalb County, which is going to have the same issue, which means what? You got to go farther out. So you might better get you some action in DeKalb, but they're going to get you up out of Fulton because they don't want you in the city no more. Because why? You don't make enough money. You got to get your weight up. And you by yourself, you can't pull enough by you because you're not like that. But when I don't know how to work with nobody, I don't know how to be Scottie Pippen and let somebody else be Jordan. I don't know how to be Wade and let somebody else be LeBron. I don't even know how to be Chris Bosh and let somebody else be Wade and be LeBron, and I still be Bosh and still get my 15 to 20 a night because I got to be the star. So I can't be Bosh and get the 15 to 20 and get my 2 rings. I can't do that, right? I can't be, what's the name? The Argentinian dude that used to play for San Antonio. Ginobili. I can't be Ginobili and let Duncan be Duncan and let Parker be Parker. I can't do that. I got to be the star. Everything got to revolve around me. I got to have all the say so. It got to go the way I want it to go. And you doing that and you can't bring in more than $50,000 a year. You need some help. Like you need some help. So you get with somebody else, y'all put y'all 50,000 together, y'all bring it back 100. And then y'all learn real estate, learn the market, learn that and figure out how you're going to build your situation. I don't want to do that. And you surround yourself with a bunch of people that believe in that same foolishness because this is something that liberals have taught a lot of black folks is the way life should look. And them liberals got their money and you ain't got none. But they're going to make sure you don't get no money because they got you believing this foolishness. So let's keep going. We're going to not go to the frozen labor market. We just going to break this down and we're going to get up on out of here.
On here, both 14,000 layoffs in white-collar workers.
So we have been in a job market that economists have called low hire, low fire for a year or two now. And I think we're starting to move into an environment that's more low hire, some fire. So we're starting to see layoffs tick up to where they were compared to pre-pandemic levels. And the fact that we are starting to see more of those layoffs and we are seeing hiring still at a pretty sluggish rate perhaps indicates that we are going to see the unemployment rate rise a little bit. We are going to see some more weakening in the job market. And so I do think that some of these announced layoffs are signs of a trend of the job market continuing to slow. All right.
So you say we're in a low hire, low fire environment. And in fact, you say the equilibrium in the job market has changed quite significantly. You say to keep us at equilibrium back in 2023, we needed to add 230,000 jobs every month. And now you say it's just 30,000. What has changed that the number has changed that dramatically?
Well, the growth in the labor supply has really come down, and a large factor behind that is immigration. So in the last few years, we had seen that immigration was contributing significantly to the growth in the available supply of workers. And then, of course, with the current administration's crackdown on immigration, that that source of new workers isn't really available. And in fact, we are actually losing some of those workers as well. And so the quote unquote break even level of jobs growth is much lower now. And on the one hand, that does mean that maybe 30, 40,000 jobs is actually being added is actually a healthy quote unquote number, or it's an imbalanced number. But that does mean that the Fed has less room for error as it tries to navigate this soft landing, because it's unclear whether the decline in jobs growth we're seeing is more driven by labor demand or labor supply.
All right.
So if you watched the last FOMC meeting, which is going to be Wednesday, Jerome Powell talked about the labor market pretty much is flat. They're not firing a lot of people, but they're also not hiring a lot of people. So the Fed is in a very tentative situation, because if we just have a large amount of firings, then they may feel like, well, we're kind of behind the 8 ball because we're cutting rates into a firing environment. But it don't matter, because Jerome Powell on his way out of there. So whoever Trump puts in there, they're going to keep cutting the rate because they want to expand and grow the economy, right? So people just going to have to get in where they fit in. But that's currently what we're dealing with right now. I feel it's very unfortunate for anybody that loses their job this close to holidays, because I know how expensive this time of the year is for people. But that's just the world we're living in. And I'm not saying that to be dismissive. What I'm saying is that that's just what's going on out here right now. We had a massive expansion because of the pandemic. Tech really, really expanded very, very rapidly. But what they're doing now is they're starting to streamline some stuff. I heard Amazon fired these people. I heard Amazon going to hire 250,000 people, but they all going to be part-time, which means that most likely after the holidays, they're going to let them go. And they're going to be hiring them at a much lower price point than the people they just got rid of. So this is why we've pressed this for so long about understanding the macro data, understanding the micro data, watching the FOMC meeting, understanding what the Federal Reserve is talking about, just making that part of your everyday life. You could be in the gym on your treadmill listening to the FOMC meeting and understanding what they're saying, because these are the people that are controlling these situations. The situation is not just being controlled by the White House. It's other people that got other levers that control the situation. And all these things they work in concert with each other to make this thing go a certain way. But if I am just caught up in a bunch of nonsense because I've been able to get away with it for so long, that's what I'm going to do. But I'm telling you, these days is over, bro. And it's over for, like, you shouldn't let nobody bring certain stuff to you just because, like, it's entertaining. Like, you got to be very careful what you let somebody bring to you. Right? I'm not sitting back watching, 12 hours of foolishness every day because it's too much stuff I got to do, because I got bills coming. They cost money. I'm going to buy food and I'm buying just vegetables that cost $100. Like, I got to make more money. So I got to be around people that got different type of ideas and different type of thoughts that can improve the software in my brain. I just can't be doing Beavis and Butthead content all day. But that's what a lot of people want to do because that's easy for them. It's escapism. But I'm telling you, this world is going to continue to move forward, and this country is going to look more like other countries. That little run we had in America, then people could talk about, let's go back to when a man could work and take care of his wife and da-da-da-da-da. That was a 20-year run in America. It never came back. It's never coming back unless you got a lot of money. But if you just part of the regular working class people, that's very unlikely that's going to happen for you. I know people that make $250,000 a year and their wife work 20 hours a week, and they make $250,000 because that's paying for daycare. So that's what I want you to understand. That's what's going on out here. We're going to move to the next one. I ain't going to sit on it too long. Like I say, we're going to get up on out of here. Let's talk about these health insurance premiums. So now what do we know? About time to do open enrollment for insurance. Okay? Democrats and the Republicans got a little beef around the insurance premiums. Okay, that don't change the fact that it's open enrollment. So either you're going to get your insurance or you're not going to get your insurance. Open enrollment stopped the first of the year. Now, you may be able to get an exception, right, with your insurer to roll it into the top of the 26. But open enrollment started in November, from my understanding, end January 1st. Some people may say end January 31st. I don't know. But when you go to sign up for your new insurance, see what your premium is. I'm self-employed, single, in the state of Georgia. The insurance market they got me in is ridiculous. If y'all saw my insurance payment monthly, y'all will lose y'all mind. I'd be like, I can't believe you paying that. Yeah, I got to pay it because I need insurance. I don't want to be underinsured. I don't want no insurance because anything can happen. I just got in a car accident a month ago. I could have been in the hospital behind that. If you was to see my insurance premium, you'll be like, man, these people tripping. Got to pay it though. What I'm going to do? Not pay it? So if they raise it, it's really going to be crazy for me because it's already high. It's up there. But I got to make the money and got to pay it because what I'm going to do? Not pay it? Not have insurance? Right? And then go to the hospital. They talking about $60,000. That's the kind of bills they throwing at people out here now. So let's get into that. Like I said, a lot of these content creators, they're going to have to change their whole platform.
At 6, some Floridians could be paying hundreds of dollars more for health insurance next year.
The Trump administration published the prices for Affordable Care Act plans as the government stays shut down while lawmakers fight over subsidies that would make the plans cheaper. Channel 9's Nick Pepentone has compiled all those prices, and Nick, millions of people in the state use those plans.
4.7. Real quick, big up to Greg Warmoth. I interned at Channel 9. This was years and years and years ago. I interned there. He was already working there. Short dude. You can't tell by him sitting. Like when you watch him sitting there, you can't tell how short it. Greg might be 5 foot tall. But Greg been down for decades. Greg got that job and kept that job. Big up to Greg. Greg say he don't care what them people do. He coming to work. So big up to Greg. If I remember seeing him there, real nice guy, real cordial, real nice guy. But Greg been down forever. If you go YouTube, Greg Warmoth, Greg been with Channel 9 forever. His family must own the station or something. I don't know. But I remember him working there when I interned there. So when I seen that, I say, man, Greg still working. Yeah, Greg kept that job. Let's keep going.
Channel 9's Nick Pepentone has compiled all those prices, and Nick, millions of people in the state use those plans.
4.7 million, and this is what we want to show you right here. A 35-year-old paying full price next year, which they would pay full price at about the average salary, would be paying at least $400 per month for health care. And if you want a lower deductible, it's even more. The numbers get up as you get older. As Democrats continue to dig their heels in over the Affordable Care Act, the Trump administration publishing the prices Floridians would pay for their monthly premiums without subsidies that expire at the end of the year. A 35-year-old single woman making an average salary of $70,000 in Orange County now spends less than $400 for the full-priced plan. In 2026, that same woman will pay $90 more per month. And the numbers for that $70,000 salary are not much better for the rest of Central Florida, with Brevard County millennials paying the least and Marion County paying the most, 25% more than last year. It's even worse for older Floridians, with a bare-bones plan costing a single 55-year-old making $70,000 in Orange County nearly $900 per month. Until now, that 55-year-old could rely on those subsidies. This year, that same basic plan, the Bronze Plan, costs her less than $300 per month. The new price is more than a dime out of every dollar she makes. But with both parties dug in, Floridians may not know what the cost to them will really be until after the sign-up window ends. Subsidies will still exist for lower-income people.
See, so that's the game. So when you go to sign up for your insurance, you'll see what it look like. But whatever it is, you got to figure something out. Either going to pay it, you're not going to pay it, you're going to go to another insurer, but you don't want to be underinsured. I would encourage you to be that. So this is what I mean. So this is all going on, right? This is state level because a lot of people like myself, you in the state market, you got to figure something out. So that's what I want you to realize. This is real life. So let's go into the solution. So y'all say, man, I just come up here giving me problems and you giving me like a bad Thursday. Let's go ahead and get that out of there. Let's get that out of there. All right. Let's keep going with some solutions, right? Let me go and share my screen out. So first solution. Get with your people and do something that will allow you to thrive while this economic warfare is going on. Same thing I've been saying forever. Get with a group. Now, I'm going to use some language that a lot of y'all don't understand because your point of view is internet and television, and nothing wrong with that. I told you from the gate, live a square life. But you're looking at an economic group right there. That's Bain Capital. Some of y'all don't know who that is. That's Bain Capital, Mitt Romney in the middle. You're looking at an economic group. Okay? I'm going to just be frank with you. You got to mob up. That's what you got to do. You got to mob up. Just say go do nothing illegal. But you have to mob up. That's the only way you're going to get your way, make yourself get through this. It don't mean you got to be beefing with other people. You got to go to war with other people. But no, you got to build out a crew. You got to build out a faction. That's what you don't have a choice. That's the only thing going to allow you to thrive. If all of y'all is trying to do this individually, it's not going to work for you, because one, you by yourself, unless you are, bringing in a ridiculous amount of money by yourself, which will make you an anomaly, make you an oddball, you don't have it. And then even if you're by yourself, I want you to understand something. No matter how smart you are by yourself, three to five people by themselves will outthink you. You'll literally give yourself a stroke trying to outthink 5 people. You'll give yourself a stroke. That's how the police get you. They put 6 people in the room and they think about how they finna arrest you and you by yourself. Right? You'll give yourself a stroke trying to outthink 6 people. Because they just can work in shifts all during the day. And you can't. You only got so much productive energy before you just pass out. So it don't matter how good you are by yourself. If everything is hinged on you and you got to do everything, that's not a good model. That's not a good system. How can you create a crew of people and y'all all work to make you thrive? It can be just one other person. They got to be 30 people. But at least you got one other person y'all can tag team the situation. That's what I want you to understand. And many binary solutions are not working the way they used to in the future. It used to be back when I was young, you go to school, you get you a certain degree, get you a certain education, you was good money. You're just going to make a certain amount of money, go buy you a house, go buy you a car, and be like, man, I ain't tripping on getting married. I make too much money by myself, and that'll work. That's not working like it used to anymore. Right? We see a married couple struggle out here. So these binary solutions, you got to start thinking more creatively, and you got to start thinking about how can I become successful in this environment comprehensively, not just from a binary standpoint. Well, if I just go to school and get this, I ain't got to do nothing else the rest of my life. You may have to go to school, educate yourself, and in 10 years, re-educate yourself in something else. You may have to go to school and get one certification, and in 2 years, get you another certification. Right? My brother-in-law working in a particular space, he always going back to school, re-educate himself. Why? Because he got to stay up to speed with his job. He can't allow the job to move forward past his understanding of what he need to do. He in a leadership position on his job. So he got to stay on top of everything. So what that take? That take money out of his pocket and take time away from his family. But that's how he keep making his money. So that's what I want you to understand. So this is why I've told you from the gate, people got to get better at being able to work with other people to solve economic problems. Thinking you're going to do it by you don't have the money. And the people that's constantly telling you everything wrong with a relationship and everything wrong with being with people, they only make money because you by yourself. If you get with somebody else, they can't make no money off of you anymore. So they have an incentive financially to make sure, and there's so many people that are bought into these lies that they got a big population, but it's going to get worse and worse for those folks. They're going to be under more and more stress because it's very unfortunate when you're looking at a lot of these police camera videos and it's people who can't even think, they can't think their way out of a wet paper bag and they're trying to commit a crime. And they can't think their way out of a wet paper bag and they're trying to create financial crimes. You can't think good enough to be a criminal. But they so desperate for money, they just trying stuff because they're desperate for money. They have no skills. They weren't educated properly from the start. So they don't know what to do to put themselves in a position to be successful. Let's keep going. Learn macroeconomics. Been saying this since I came on this YouTube. Learn macroeconomics. You don't need a PhD in macroeconomics to understand what it is. Right? This is why we put this up. And I ain't posting it in a long time because I just been busy. We put up the book list, right? Inside there's a PDF with macro books, things of that nature to help improve the software in your brain. We put that up there, right? So I may post this in the description of this particular video. Learn macro. Stop thinking it's about going on YouTube and having somebody just give you economic negativity content. And the real estate market's going to crash, yada, yada, yada. No, the real estate market's going to crash, but you're going to crash with it. That's what you got to understand. The real estate market crash dude, he did a video, and I forgot to talk about it, where he said that we want unemployment to go up because that'll bring the market down. And his audience doesn't realize that they're going to get caught up in a loss of jobs. So they're not going to be able to buy a house anyway. But they're just there to hear the next video about how the market's going to crash and they're finally going to be able to buy a home. No, they're not. No, they're not. So that's what I want you to understand is that you need to learn macroeconomics. And the reason why I'm telling you that is so you can better navigate this world. It's something that they neglect to teach us K through 12. A lot of people got advanced degrees, have never taken an economic course throughout their whole education. Some people got terminal degrees, the whole nine, and don't understand basic macroeconomics. So you understand who these players are. It's way deeper than just going reading The Creature from Jekyll Island. That's that man's perspective on the Federal Reserve that doesn't really teach you how monetary policy actually works. It doesn't. That's his perspective on the Federal Reserve. Learn monetary policy and how it impacts macro. This world is run off monetary policy. And it's way deeper than, right? The dollar is a fiat currency and you need to buy gold. It's way deeper than that. Like, you got to understand it's way deeper than that. I had a guy post on this one video from this, y'all might not know about the Buena Vista Social Club. Some Cubans, some Cubanos make real good music. They came out like in the 90s. And the guy posted, Cuba could be a great, they get rid of communism and they could do that. And then the US dollar could be their second currency. I said to him, what Caribbean country exists where the USD is a second currency? Every Caribbean country, the USD currency is greater than their currency, where they would rather transact in the USD in their own currency. But you don't understand monetary policy. So then you don't understand how it impacts macro. So you don't understand why some of these things are taking place. You don't get it. And it's not 100% your fault. They let you get out of school without understanding this stuff. And they let you think you're smart without understanding this stuff. But it's really what's running the whole world. And it's way deeper than just saying the US dollar is a fiat currency and letting Kawasaki get on YouTube and tell you the dollar don't have no value. But he transacted it though. So it got to have some kind of value. Because he can't transact in gold all day. It's not possible. So he transacts in something he telling you has no value. It got to have a value. If not, Kawasaki, give me all your money. Because it don't have no value, right? Just give it to me all. I told anybody that don't think the dollar have no value, I will buy your dollars from you at a cent on the dollar. And you need to sell now before I give you half a cent on the dollar. Ain't nobody took me on the offer because why? They don't believe what they're saying. Got to have a value, or sell me all your dollars. I give you 1 cent on the dollar. That'd be the end of the conversation. They never talk to me about that again. So learn monetary policy is not as complicated as people make it out to be. It's not. They just try to make it look complicated. It's not as complicated as people make it out to be. Next one, learn how monetary policy, how it impacts microeconomics, because it does. We're seeing it now. We're seeing now how the basket of food is so expensive. People now going to Dollar Tree and they buying nothing but carbs for $20 and they think they're eating. So you want to learn how monetary policy, how it impacts microeconomics is way deeper than just saying gold is a store of value, because you can't transact in gold anyway. So do you understand what is around the currency that you have to use to transact your whole life? Because you can't transact in gold. So I was talking to a brother on the live talk earlier this week, and I told him, if the economy gets better, I think gold falls. And if the economy gets worse, I think gold falls. Because why? People still got to live their life and they can't transact in gold. So once gold, in my opinion, gets to a certain price point, it no longer is attractive anymore. Because why? I can't use it to do anything. I can't transact with it. So where am I going to get the extra money to buy gold? And if the economy really starts to get rolling, people are going to do what they've always been doing. What? They're going to just buy consumer items, because that's what they do when they get a lot of money. The average American, when they get a lot of money, they don't go buy gold. They go buy things. So if everything just starts going good and the economy recovers and we at 2% cost of capital, and anybody can get anything they want to get financed, people are going to go buy things. They're not going to go buy gold, because all the fear is going to be out of the economy. But I can come up with that narrative because I understand monetary policy. Don't mean it's going to go that way. That's just my narrative. That's why I got short gold going into 2026. I could be 100% incorrect, so I wouldn't follow that trade if I was you. But you want to understand monetary policy, how it impacts micro and macroeconomics, right? To do that, you may have to improve your reading skills. So if you're reading, you can't just watch a bunch of YouTube videos and figure this stuff out. You got to actually read books. So you may have to improve your reading skills, because your reading skills may be lacking. And it's not 100% your fault. They allowed you to get out of school with weak reading skills. That's the education system we have. because they decided a long time ago, we don't need everybody to have really excellent reading skills to do the work we need them to do. So they allowing people to get out of school, because I spoke to a brother in Chattanooga on this trip I went with Erica. He talked about, because of the log jam in schools, they got to just push people through because it creates a log jam. What I mean by log jam is that even if you can't do the work, we just can't let you just sit in the 5th grade. Because why? We got people coming up behind you. So we got to just move you on. So we just start having all these people that are allowed to get out of these particular schools and these institutions, and they read 5th grade or lower, but they got a high school diploma because they just got passed through. It happens. I read a story years ago. This dude had a football scholarship for the University of Memphis, and he couldn't read. And we ain't talking about 1960s. This is the early 2000s. So he passed through all those Memphis schools and couldn't read. And everybody just kept passing him through to the point where he was able to get a scholarship to play football for Memphis. And it was in college where they finally had to address the fact that this dude couldn't read. Grown person. Couldn't read. Real life. This may sound like a lot if you are not working with somebody, with someone, and it's a team effort. So again, if you all by yourself, this may sound like a lot. I know, because I'm single. I woke up this morning, started working, still working right now. It's 8:45. Been working all day. It's easy if you got somebody else, but they got to want to do the work. That's the biggest problem. We've gone through so many generations of teaching people not to work with folks and not teaching people how to work with other people. Wasn't a fan of Kevin Samuels' content, but big up to Kevin Samuels. God bless his soul. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to wish no negativity on the man because he had a real life, right? And when I say a real life, he went through things in life. But he showed on his YouTube that a lot of people didn't know how to actually exist in what they were asking for. They just thought they wanted it because it was an escape from what they was currently dealing with. We're now 4 and 5 decades in of people not being taught how to support somebody else in partnership. They have no idea. They think the role of the situation is what they can get out of it. Don't know how to support the other person in partnership. Have no idea how to do it. I was talking to somebody the other day, and we talked about the faith-based space. We're talking about faith. And we were talking about a woman who says, I want to be a helpmate to a man, but she already got a whole life already planned out. So she believes that God has told me what I need to do with my whole life before I even get married. So they go into relationships with that mentality. But if the man got an assignment, how does the assignment work with what you think God told you should do with your life? Because the man already got an assignment. That's what he's supposed to have before he even looked to try to get married. But when they mama didn't teach them this in the household, it makes sense to them because this is what they learned on the internet. Right? This is what they learn in social media. So I'm not saying that somebody should be sitting around waiting on nobody. What I'm saying is that if you are a woman of faith and you believe that you want to be a helpmate to your husband, but you got your whole life planned out before you ever get married. Okay. Let's keep going. Stop thinking that God is going to allow you to have a husband or wife so you can get them a stroke or a heart attack. That's my own commentary. Because a lot of people believe that. They believe that I'm going to get a wife or a husband and I'm just going to let them have a stroke or a heart attack supporting what I want because I'm not helping them do nothing. Because again, I can't be Scottie Pippen. I can't be Ginobili. I can't be Chris Bosh, God forbid. I can't be Chris Bosh, right? So I can't help nobody, really truly help them, which means that all the light might be on them. And I'm really helping them. Because I told somebody, this was years ago when Bosh got hurt, I forgot who they was playing in the playoffs. And I told them, Bosh, keep their balance. Because with Bosh in the paint, you can't focus on Wade and LeBron because Bosh in the paint. That keep giving them their balance. But what I'm saying is that this attitude to where this other person coming into my life and I'm going to give them a stroke or a heart attack doing everything I want them to do. Like today, I've been up since early this morning working. Right? Because what else I'm going to do? Not work? So I've been up early this morning working, rolled to the other side of town, paid a bill, came back. I got a situation with them people next week. I got to go back out there, but I want to make sure I paid that bill first. Talk to this person, did this, talked to my outsourcer, did a whole bunch of different stuff. Still working right now. It's 8:48, 9 o'clock, almost 9 o'clock on Eastern Standard Time. right? This is what I got to do to keep this thing going. And I got other people working in what I'm doing. If I get with somebody else and they add 30% more work than me, they're going to give me a stroke. So how do they help me with what I got going on? Not how do they give me 30% more work and give me a stroke? Because they let some online pastor tell them that I'm supposed to die for them the way Jesus died for the church, which means that they supposed to give me a stroke so they can get what they want, because that's what they believe in. Because they mean they ain't got to do nothing no more. Everything on me. This is the foolishness we got going on out here. So that's just as bad as liberalism telling women that, the father of your child don't have no value. All these people are spreading foolishness. It's just all foolishness out here. But I tell you what, as this economic situation get worse and worse, and this economic situation get worse and worse, it's going to separate the real from the fake. That's what it's going to do. It's going to separate the real from the fake, because it's not going to get better for most people, because they don't even understand what they're involved in, and they don't have a plan. They're like, some of y'all use the old school fishing rod where you got that little floater that sit in the water and it just float. That's what they do. And they just float in the water. Whichever way the wave take them, that's where they're going to go. They have no real direction. And they don't understand how to get with somebody else and work with other folks. Let's keep going. I don't want to be here too long. Make this part of your life, and conversation around it will get easier. I just spoke to somebody earlier today before I jumped in this live stream. I said, hey, man, Netflix is going to split their stock. Now, hopefully I'm not incorrect about that, but I heard through the grapevine that Netflix going to split their stock. They're going to do a 10-to-1 split. This person told me, this a married person, say, hey, I'm going to buy some of that stock for my kids. So when they pass away, they got something to give their kids. And they already got a home to give to their children. They're trying to get another home. This same person live in the DMV area, right? They talked to me the other day about, because what's going on in the DMV, a lot of people going to leave their property. They like, this may be the time for me to get some property in the DMV, right? We're going to talk about that this weekend when we link up. We're going to sit down and have a conversation about it. Like, can we pull this off? Because DMV property ain't cheap. But we just got we have a preliminary conversation. We ain't got to rush into nothing. Preliminary, right? If the Lord open the door, he going to open the door for us. We ain't got to force nothing. We're going to have a little preliminary conversation about it. But they already thinking on that level, because they thinking, how can I continue to add assets for my children? So they get it, because they talked about, I bought the Amazon stock when it split. Because I was like $1,000 a share, like average person can't get up in there. But if they split to 100 something a share, that's good money. But I can get on the phone with this person. So we talked about something else going on this weekend. We talked about something else, but I can come at them with, because they in the markets, because they trying to figure out, how can I build assets for my children? They ain't tripping on themselves. They figuring out, how can I build assets for my kids? That's all they thinking about. Right? And their kids in their early 20s, and they still thinking about how they can build assets for their children. So it's just a different mentality. So when you make this part of your life, conversations around it will get easier, because the people around you are having a similar conversation. Don't mean you got to be an expert. Don't mean you got to be sitting on millions of dollars. The person I'm talking to right now, they both work. They ain't sitting on millions of dollars, but they take the money they can take and they go try to get assets for their children. Because they told me, I want to get another home, so my kids got 2 homes, because it's 2 children. They don't want them to have to split no house. So they're trying to figure out how they can pull that off, right? Because they in a very, very expensive real estate market, because they in the DMV. But they thinking now how they can pull this off. So they thinking, hey, if enough people leave DC because they got laid off by the feds, that may create a door for me to go in there and get me some property, right? Because you don't want to own nothing in Bmore, because the rental laws are so crazy. Then people burn your house down, and the law will say it's your fault. So you don't want to buy no property up there. The contract is crooked too. That's a whole different type of situation. But they in DC area, they're looking to try to get something in DC, because why? DC real estate only going to keep going up. That's it. Okay. So that's what I want to talk about with that. Content creator pivot. This is where the content creators got to go. Right. Let's not go full degenerate. And even if you seen like guys like Nick Fuentes who went full degenerate, even he had to pull it back a little bit. He had to pull it back just a little bit, because he just realized, I'm just going too far degenerate. Gossip, relationship content creators going to start talking about skills and start businesses. Watch what I tell you. They already starting it right now. You see certain gossip content creators, certain guys with relationships, men are terrible, women are terrible. They not starting to kind of sprinkle into their message, hey man, maybe y'all need to think about getting a side hustle. And here goes some careers that are AI resistant, where you ain't got to worry about AI taking them out. You know, if you work with your hands, you ain't got to worry about AI taking your job. They starting to sprinkle that in because they realizing that their audience being hit by this stuff. And it ain't gonna stop no time soon. They think they just got to get past the end of the year. They are 100% incorrect in their assessment. This is going to keep going on. It's going to keep, it's not going, they thinking, man, if I just get past the end of the year, them tax returns going to hit, and then we're going to be able to start this year off, and we're going to be able to, it's going to keep going. Tax returns going to hit top of the year, but this thing going to keep, this economic destruction going to keep happening. That's just what's going to happen. So they've already, their assessment is it's going to be a 60, 90-day deal, and then we're going to be able to get back to normal. No, that's not going to work for them. It's going to keep happening. But they're now starting to sprinkle in their content. They normally was just full out gossip, full out relationship, making 5 videos a day about relationships. Right? And making sure everybody stay separate. That's how they make their money. But now it's starting to hit their audience. So that's what's going on. Let's keep going. You'll see an increase in people talking about dropping out and acting like that's a new idea. You're going to see a lot of guys telling men, hey, man, you need to leave and just go to Asia or go to Central South America to live real cheap. That's a solution. Get out of the matrix. You'll see a lot of that popping up. It's just escapism. You can't make it in America because you don't have the skills, you don't have the work ethic, and you have not been given a program to learn how to make it because your parents failed you. Right? Your parents failed you. So you can escape from America and go overseas and act like you got some money, but you still not accumulate no assets over there. You just on a long-term vacation, but that's going to catch up to you one day. And they're going to act like that's a new idea. You got a woman, got a YouTube. She tell black women, everybody depend on you. You da-da-da-da-da. You need to come live overseas and work virtual. But my question is, what assets are you accumulating while you're overseas? Right? Because they laws of real estate, all that stuff is different. So if you are not very disciplined in taking your extra money and buying stock over here, you just over there living and just running through your money. You're going to look up in 20 years, you ain't going to have nothing. You're talking to somebody where it took me longer to get in a position where I could do any kind of asset accumulation. Right? Don't make the mistake I made. Start accumulating assets as early as possible. Don't make the mistake I made where it took me a very long time to get into a position where I could accumulate assets. Also, I'm by myself. If I was with somebody else, it'd be a much easier position. But what I'm trying to tell you is that don't think you need to wait to start accumulating assets. Get assets as early as possible. That's the game we playing. That's it. That's just the game that we're in. It's always been the game we ain't never been in a different game than that. They just fooled us with all this other stuff. Let's keep going. Let's talk about manufacturing consent. Now let's go back to this video real quick. We're talking about manufacturing consent. What I mean by that is that how do we create a narrative where we can justify how we want to treat certain groups of people because of what people think those groups of people are about? Let's keep going.
8 and 5 days. It is the taxpayer's responsibility to take care of my kids. Hell, they turned off EBT since the shutdown. I can't use EBT in November. I got 7 kids with 7 daddies. Who's supposed to feed them? Them men ain't paying for nothing. They cut my motherfucking food stamps to $85 fucking from $738. How the fuck? That's supposed to support a household of 3.
You know, I didn't really notice all the issues with the EBT stuff because I've been too busy working. Like every time I go to the grocery store, my card cleared. My debit card, credit card, doesn't matter what card I use. I work 7 days a week and I've just never even really cared. This is why people don't care about EBT going away. They don't care about it.
I think people need to understand what's going on here. If you are a right-wing creator on this app, your algorithm for the last 2, maybe 2.5 weeks has been nothing but these videos of supposed SNAP recipients freaking out about losing their benefits and saying these genuinely ridiculous things like it's the taxpayer's job to pay for my kid. The reason is these videos are designed and targeted to this specific algorithm because this algorithm, these set of people have zero media literacy and zero critical thinking skills. Watch this.
Y'all hear me? Because of this government shutdown, they telling me I can't use my EBT in November. I got 7 kids with 7 men. 7! And that's the taxpayer's responsibility, okay? Y'all taxpayers, do you hear me? Since this government shut down, I can't use my EBT in November. I
not sure if they're taking videos from real people and using their face to make AI, but that shit looks.
Shout out to that last creator. Go follow her because she put that together, that montage. It's the same fucking video. It's AI. It's the same script. It's you type in angry black woman, and it has to be a black woman for this to work. Angry black woman screaming about losing benefits to feed her 7 kids by 7 different daddies, and it's the taxpayer's responsibility. It's the same fucking script. All screaming, all with kids in the background usually. And if you notice, if you go back and look on that montage, that's all from one account. That's all from a singular fucking account that's posted all of those videos. It's the same videos that the original creator was referencing. It's AI. It's fake. Those are fake videos. If you're seeing nothing, if your algorithm is full of nothing but these types of videos, you're going to probably have a visceral reaction to it and come out and say something that sounds to the rest of us who haven't seen these videos as really fucking heartless, like Toast Lady, because you're furious that all these people are making videos talking about how it's the taxpayer's responsibility to take care of their kid. Here's another version with white people.
They just cut my stamps again. Took them right out from under us like we ain't even people. I gotta figure out how to feed these kids now. I swear to God, I'm about to go apply anywhere that'll have me. They cut my food stamps. It's my patriotic duty to get a job. I gotta feed myself, my wife, and our babies. I'm serious. I gotta do it. They cut my food stamps in half last week. Half. Don't know how we're even gonna make it through till Friday. But you know what? This is my country. Ain't nobody else gonna feed my babies for me. It's on me now.
Almost damn near the same template as the black women, panic, dirty faces, kids running around in the background. But the white people are doing their patriotic duty, and they've got to do what they've got to do, and they're going to go apply to any place that will have them, and they've got to take care of their kids now. Do you think this shit is an accident? Do you think that they're pumping out AI videos of black women talking about how they have 7 kids with 7 daddies and it's the taxpayer's responsibility to take care of their kids, and then the exact same template with a white person is, I got to do my patriotic duty and get a job? By the way, that was also one creator. The white AI, the white people AI EBT was also a single creator. Here's another one. If you scroll down just a few more videos in their grid, here's another one of the videos that they posted.
And so what you're seeing is that there's an effort to kind of craft a narrative around what's going on. That's what it is. But it's going to work because we know that we're dealing with a population of people who can't think critically. They love social media. They love TikTok. They believe what they say on TikTok because they take what they see on TikTok and they take it back to people in their real life as if it's real. Not comedy, not sports, right? It's a brother got an Instagram channel. He a comedy dude, got some hilarious stuff. But it's comedy. It's not real life. But people will try to make this look like this is what's actually going on in the real world. And if you notice, all the women saying the same thing, and they're furious women. Now, these women are like incensed that they EBT, they snap, got cut. And it's designed to create a narrative. So as things start to go in a certain direction, well, we think those people deserve what's happening because look at them on the internet. Look how they conduct themselves. This is only going to get worse. It's only going to get, this AI, artificial intelligence, is only going to get better. The average person can't tell the difference. They just can't. They don't have the ability to do it, right? It used to be back in the day, I would watch something on TV with mama and say, hey, that's just TV, right? A lot of people don't know that some of this stuff is just internet. It's not real life. They lost that discernment 20 years ago. So that's what I want you to understand is that they're trying to manufacture consent around some of this stuff. This stuff is very, very deliberate. It's very orchestrated. For a lot of people, is how they gonna make their money. It's how they gonna get some money to come into their life because they ain't really got nothing popping. So more content will be created to make poor working class black people the face of poverty and deserving of whatever happens to them. Then this becomes a feedback mechanism. Because here's what happens from a psychological standpoint. If you tell a group of people all the time that they're negative and they're bad, they start to believe that about themselves and they start doing negative and bad things. Right? So then now it justifies what you want to do to them because they're actually doing it, but you're constantly telling them that they're negative and bad. See how that works? So it becomes a feedback mechanism. You create a whole bunch of content telling people they're negative and bad. They ingest that content. They're exposed to it. They start to believe it because they told it all the time. They say, well, hey, I must be a bad person, so let me do negative things. It ain't going to get everybody, but it just got to get 30, 40% of them. Ain't got to get all of them. Just got to get 30, 40%. The 30, 40% go and do it, then that justifies what we want to do to the rest of them. Because we can always go to them and say, hey, well, 30, 40% of your people doing negativity. But they'll never talk about all the content that's being created, telling people they're negative people all the time. So it just becomes a feedback mechanism. This ain't nothing new. They've been done this before. They just using the internet to do it now. So that's what I want you to understand. This is where this is going, because they can't let the masses of people focus on their economic situation. They don't want the masses to focus on accumulating assets because there's only so many assets. There's only so much land. There's only so much real estate, only so much commercial real estate. There's only so many businesses, right? There's only so many stocks. There's only so much. So what we wanted the masses to do is to get caught up in this. We got to balkanize the masses and get them caught up in foolishness, right? Get them caught up in more content creators who ain't talking about nothing. Get them caught up in more sports, right? More movies, more entertainment. And then we continue to just accumulate all the assets that mean something. So that when somebody sits down and talks to you about certain stuff, it's so far out to you because you don't have a point of reference of having these type of conversations. And then if you do, you can't stay in it long enough to actually get a result out of it, right? Because you got a foot in both worlds. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. So this is what's going to happen. Been saying it for 5 years. It's not anything new, right? I didn't just pop out this video topic. Been saying it for 5 years. And I'm telling people, don't make the mistakes I made. Don't wait too long to accumulate assets. Don't wait too long to be in partnership with people, but get with people that know how to get together and accumulate assets. That's why I'm so inspired by Drop 16. A young dude about his money, right? A young dude in a marriage and about his bread. That's what you need to do. Leave the rest of the stuff alone because it ain't going to add up to nothing. I'm telling you as a fact. It's going to add up to nothing at the end of the day. The rest of the stuff ain't going to add up to nothing. This stuff is on a Ferris wheel, a hamster wheel, or just repeat. But you got to get with people that understand what's going on and they want to engage in this stuff. They just don't want to do what they want to do with it. Like I say, they're going to give you a stroke or a heart attack while you're trying to accumulate all the assets by yourself. That's a bad plan. So that's all we're going to talk about. We ain't going to be here too long, man. Like I say, I got to get me something to eat and I got to cook something. So G3 Sarge, man, appreciate the $5. Miss Phoenix, man, appreciate you coming through. Miss Phoenix 91 says Governor Ohio just issued an executive order to use emergency funds for SNAP benefits. You know, some states doing it. I think state of Georgia say, hey, y'all got to figure it out. We ain't going to give y'all nothing. Terrence, man, appreciate the $4.99 super chat. Ray Ban, man, appreciate the $4.99. Big up to Ray Gun. Appreciate the $2. Big up to Erica Classic Clown Smartphone Money for the $5. The best time is now to learn higher skills, how to trade stocks, how to buy, build a house, ignoring the money and assets part in America's why. 100% correct. And so big up to Erica for being consistent with her economic message. Talking about businesses, talking about getting real estate, talking about all things lead to real estate. She need to go trademark that. Like, that's real. Okay? We see with AI, what are they doing with AI? AI. Now they go secure a whole bunch of real estate for data centers. All things lead to real estate. All this AI. It's not but a real estate play. Because they can't do it without a bunch of real estate. So it's not a big real estate play. They got to secure all this real estate to do all this AI. Why? Because we got to build all these data centers to put all these big servers inside of them. So big up to people like Erica with a consistent message through all the noise. There's a lot of noise on YouTube. If you go on YouTube now, it's just so much nonsense popping up in your feed. It don't even make no sense. I got some good channels, but a lot of this is just foolishness. So big up to people like Erica. Big up to people like By the Hood that just been consistent in their message. By the Hood been talking about crypto and Bitcoin forever. And they got in early. Wish I would have got in early. Because I remember Bitcoin was $2,000 a coin. I should have took $10,000 and bought it. But I didn't have 10 grand in. If it was like that now, I could do that. I couldn't do that back then. I didn't have it. So that's why I tell you, don't wait to start accumulating assets. Don't wait. Right? Because the time to do it is now. It's not next year. It's not 5 years. That's right now. Get something going and get into a habit of it. I don't care if you're getting $100 worth a week or something. It's better than nothing. Amika, man, appreciate the $10. Erica Williams, Classic Clown Smartphone Money. Michael Dell, 19-year-old son, raised $1 billion in Austin. I was like, wild times out here, Victory Gardens, Guardian, and the budget videos going wild. Yeah, I feel you. Big up to Michael Dell's son. You know, he in the family. So they're going to pull his son off. So that name going to carry away, Erica. And that's a lot of money to raise, too. I wonder how old he is. Oh, see, 19. So he's 19 with $1 billion raised. Now, here's a question, Erica, because we was told you got to have a track record and stuff to do it. I wonder what track record he bringing to the table to raise that $1 billion at 19. What kind of track record can you have at 19? In anything, except playing video games. So that's the thing. But yeah, he got that $1 billion up, and he probably going to raise some more. That's probably just Series A. We're going to go into the Series B. We're going to raise another $1 billion. Yeah, we're going to see a lot of guard in the budget, a lot of couponing, how to make simple meals for $20, $30. Going to be a lot of that because money just going to be tight. Money going to just be real tight. And I don't think it's going to loosen up on nobody either. Big up to Moore. Preach the truth. You're on point as always. Appreciate it, bro. Big up to you and what you got going on. Jason, man, appreciate the $5. Amika, man, appreciate the $5. So that's pretty much going to be it. Fitness says, how do people who are already rich afford real estate without moving to the South? So Fitness, if you look at the Cleveland market, real estate is cheaper in Cleveland than it is in the South. To me, the South don't have no cheap real estate no more, unless you're moving way out into the country. But if you look at the Cleveland market, let me explain something to you. If I move to Cleveland, I can live a higher level lifestyle than what I'm currently living right now today because of cost of living. Right? That's one city. So here's what I would do, Fitness. I would go to Zillow. I would look at every major metropolitan area, and then I would look outside of that major metropolitan area. I would take 5 hours to do that. I would get on Zillow, look at every major metropolitan area, and then look outside of that major metropolitan area. So what's the suburbs of that major metro? I would take 5 hours to do that. Go get a list, get a spreadsheet, and just do the work. That's what I would do. But I know right now you can move to Cleveland. If I was married and I was living in Cleveland, I could come up. I just can't take the cold. But if I was married and my wife, we sat down and we said, okay, we're going to come into agreement. We're going to do a 5-year run of Cleveland. And we just going to stack up bread and get assets for 5 years. And then we can move somewhere else because we're going to be good. I could do that. But I just don't, I can't take cold weather. But if it's just going to be a 5-year run, because that's the program we run it, and we're going to stick to the program. So during the 5 years, we ain't going to get distracted with nothing. Right? We're gonna pray that God allow us to stay consistent in 5 years. You know, emergencies, things can happen, but we're not finna get distracted with nothing and say, okay, we accumulated assets, and then during the 5 years, okay, now we want to like go take a 90-day trip doing something crazy that's gonna get us hurt. Like, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of opportunity out there if you do the research and figure out what's a major metropolitan area and then what's outside of that major metropolitan area. But the South, I don't believe the South got the cheapest real estate. Go look at real estate in Orlando, Florida. Tell me what you see. Go look at Miami real estate. Tell me what you see. Especially Miami real estate. Go look at Tampa real estate. Tell me what you see. Florida prices are ridiculous. Like I'm from Florida. They acting like Florida's something that is not. I don't know what's going on down there. Because Florida not like that. So what I would do is do the research, brother. Or sister. I don't know who I'm talking to. I would do the research. I think that's really what it come down to. Or go on Upwork or somebody and shoot somebody in Asia $200 and let them do the research, right? And hopefully they give you something back good. But you got to get on Zillow. I'll be up late night looking at property on Zillow, just seeing what it costs. That's how I know about the Cleveland market. Because I was like, man, I can go to Cleveland, link up with Roz, but I don't like that cold. And I want to be up there by myself. But that's a game plan if you married. But like I say, people got to stick to the script. You know, you got people now won't even give you a budget. But they want to be married, but we can't even do a budget. But that's a whole other conversation. Dr. Chaz says, I got a client tapped into Cleveland. I'm about to get some land and property. That's what I'm saying. People don't know about Cleveland. People, and here goes Dr. Chaz. The median income, I don't even think it's 50. So if you're making 100, 120, and you go to Cleveland and you working virtual, so you're gonna make the same amount of money, you balling up there. You balling. Right? So you can now accumulate because the cost of living ain't gonna kill you, and you can live in a nice area because you got the money like that. Johnny Carter say, don't tell him about Cleveland. I feel he asked, you know what I'm saying? But you know, you gotta deal with that cold coming up off that river. Erica say Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland. People sleeping on Cleveland. Roz know about Cleveland though. He up there. So you say you got to leave all your friends and family. I understand. Well, you got to make a decision. It don't have to be the rest of your life though. right? It can be a temporary situation, but you got to figure out what works best for you and your plan and what you're trying to do. You know, this really not the format to work all the way through that. Erica says 30K duplex, buy in Cleveland, put 40K in the repair. It brings a $1,700 a month, one Section 8 tenant, one regular tenant. I feel you. See what I'm saying? And see that work, Erica. Somebody by themselves could do it, but a couple could really do that. Right? They can really pull that off. You know what I'm saying? But again, people got to want to be in partnership with somebody, and they got to want to stick to the script. But it's a lot. I'm telling you, it's a lot of couples, and I'm talking to everybody. They got something in this world right now today because they took 5 to 10 years and they woke up every day and did the same thing. And they just stuck to the script. And Lord blessed them with health. He blessed them with a good situation, but they woke up every day for 5 to 10 years and did the same thing. And they got really close to each other because they was just doing the same thing. They just were locked in like that. It's couples right now doing that. And there's other people to where we start this and now it's this, and we start this and now it's this. And, you know, we don't do no budgets. We just, you know, we don't believe in budgeting, but I want you to be responsible for all the bills, but I don't know what the bills are because we ain't got a budget. Like, it's just a bunch of foolishness out here. Right? So, you know, but they going to figure something out. Clutch say if I had to go to Midwestern City, I'd go to KC or Des Moines. I would never live in Des Moines to save my life, but that's just me. It's not my type of vibe. Not as cheap, but not as cold as magnified. I'm not sure how Des Moines, Iowa is not magnified, but you might know something I don't know. I would never go to Des Moines to save my life. And I don't know how it's not cold. It's the middle of Iowa. But you, like I said, you might know something I don't know. I can see Kansas City, but I couldn't see Des Moines. And we talking about the same Des Moines. We talking about Iowa, right? The only thing good out of Iowa to me is Slipknot. You might not know nothing about them. 20K a year off one duplex, just get 3 of them. I feel you. I feel you. Des Moines is freezing. I believe you. It's Iowa, bro. How can it not be freezing? It's a flat state. That wind come across that state. That's why them Native Americans in the Midwest were so hard, bro. They can survive them winters. They tough because I can't do it. Them Sioux, I think they Sioux Indians, man. Them some tough people, man. They can survive those winters. You got to be tough, bro. I'll lose my mind in that cold, bro. I can't do it. So I don't know. But I don't know if I could do Iowa. But like I said, you might know something I don't know. Yeah, they got good football too. I forgot about that. Even though I'm not an Iowa Hawkeyes fan. So Erica said they got a lot of hot springs like Arkansas. So I ain't never been to the hot springs there. So that might be the tourist spot to check out. So let's check out they got the hot springs, they got Slipknot, and they got the Hawkeyes. They came to Orlando one time to play football at the bowl right by my neighborhood and asked us how can they get more Florida players in Iowa. I say, man, don't nobody want to come up there. It's too cold. Nobody want to come to Iowa to play ball, man. It turned winter, man. You like, man, good Lord, how I get this cold? I agree with your Slipknot being the best thing coming out of Iowa. Yeah, them. If you're in the football, the Hawkeyes. But yeah, I know about Slipknot. That's what I think I know about Iowa. And I know some other stuff about Iowa. We ain't gonna get into that because I don't want to sidetrack it. Because I know a woman that was she was in foster care in Iowa. She told me a lot about the foster care system there. That's a whole nother conversation we ain't gonna get into. I'm gonna drop that later on. Yeah, that dude that made that interception for the Bucks against the Saints last week, he played ball from Iowa. He from Iowa. They put out good football players, squad is kept. So we're going to get up out of here, man. Y'all stay safe, man. Stay encouraged.